Hello, and welcome to the Midnight Protector, an enchanting journey into the world of dreams and shadows. We're so glad to have you here with us, listening to this tale crafted just for you. Whether you're winding down after a long day or seeking a comforting escape, this story is designed to help you drift peacefully into a world of imagination, wonder, and courage. In this adventure, you'll meet Lena, a young girl who embarks on a journey through the dream shadow, a realm where nightmares come alive and only the brave dare to face them. With the help of the Midnight Protector, a guardian of dreams, Lena will confront her fears and discover the true strength within herself. As you listen, we invite you to relax, close your eyes, and let the words guide you. This is a safe place, a place of healing, and where the power of courage can illuminate even the darkest corners. So, sit back, breathe deeply, and let the story unfold. Now, let's step into the dream shadow, where the Midnight Protector awaits. Chapter 1. The Quiet Village. Nestled between the rolling hills and the edge of a dense forest, the village of Ashwood was a place where the days were quiet and the nights even quieter. The villagers led simple lives, tending their farms and livestock, gathering at the local tavern, or exchanging stories by the fire in the evenings. The people of Ashwood were kind-hearted and hard-working, and they had long believed in the peacefulness that the surrounding woods offered. But there was one thing the villagers did not know. Beneath the quiet surface of their serene home, there was a guardian who watched over them, a silent protector who came alive in the night, hidden from the eyes of the day. Lena, a young girl of 14, lived at the edge of the village with her parents. Each evening, she would sit by the window, looking out toward the forest as twilight fell. The shadows stretched across the land, and the last rays of sunlight faded behind the horizon. The village grew still, but Lena knew something was different about the night. It wasn't just darkness that settled. It was a feeling, an unspoken quiet, a sense of waiting. One evening, as Lena gazed out at the dimming world, she thought she saw something move at the edge of the forest. At first, it was nothing more than a flicker, a shape in the distance, but the longer she stared, the more certain she became. There was someone, or something, out there. Perhaps it's just the wind, she whispered to herself, shaking her head, or the trees shifting in the dark. Yet, as she tried to push the thought from her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching. A quiet sense of both curiosity and unease settled in her chest. Who or what could be out there in the vastness of the forest at night? That night, as she lay in bed, she heard the wind rustling outside, the distant hoot of an owl, and the soft murmur of the forest. But through it all, she could not forget the strange figure she had seen. Lena rolled over, trying to sleep, but the thought clung to her. As the clock ticked past midnight, a soft sound reached her ears, a gentle tap on her window. She froze, unsure of what it was. The tapping continued, delicate and rhythmic, like the whisper of the wind, but distinct. Slowly, she rose from her bed and peered through the glass. To her astonishment, she saw nothing. The moonlight illuminated the forest, casting long shadows on the ground, but no one was there. Just as Lena was about to turn away, she saw it again, a flicker in the distance, and then, from the shadows of the trees, a tall, cloaked figure stepped into view. The figure moved with a quiet grace, as if it were part of the night itself, blending seamlessly with the surroundings. Lena's heart raced. Who was that, and why were they standing out there, in the middle of the night? The figure slowly turned and disappeared into the depths of the forest. Lena held her breath, unsure whether to be frightened or fascinated. She had to know more. Chapter 2. The Midnight Protector. The following day, Lena could hardly concentrate on her chores. She couldn't shake the image of the cloaked figure. Who was it? What was it doing in the forest? There were whispers among the villagers about the woods, about strange happenings that occurred when the moon was full, but no one ever spoke openly about them. As evening fell once again, Lena felt the same unease stir inside her, but this time she decided she would uncover the truth. She waited until her parents were busy inside the house, and then she quietly slipped out into the growing darkness. The air was cool and still, the scent of damp earth filling her lungs as she walked toward the forest's edge. Her heart pounded with both excitement and fear. The trees loomed ahead, their branches swaying slightly in the wind. The moon was full, casting a pale light across the ground, and everything seemed still, as if the forest was holding its breath. She stood there for a moment, listening to the quiet, and then, from the shadows, the figure appeared again, tall, cloaked, and moving with a fluid grace that made it seem almost ethereal. Lena's pulse quickened, but she didn't back away. She had to know who, or what, this figure was. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. As she did, the figure turned, its face still hidden in the shadow of the hood. For a moment, neither of them moved, and then, in a voice that was both soothing and strong, the figure spoke. "You shouldn't be here, child." Lena flinched, but she stood her ground. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. The figure paused, as if considering her question. Then, in a soft, steady tone, it replied, "I am the Midnight Protector. I guard the balance between this world and the unseen world, the world of dreams and shadows. It is my duty to ensure that the darkness does not consume the light." Lena stared at the figure, her mind racing. The Midnight Protector? But why? Why do you protect the village? Why does the darkness need to be kept at bay? The figure turned slightly, as if looking into the distance, and then it answered, "Because, child, there are forces that move unseen in the night. Not all creatures of the dark are kind. Some are ancient, and their hunger knows no bounds. I am here to ensure that the balance is maintained, that the shadows do not swallow the light." Lena swallowed hard. The idea of such creatures, things that lived in the dark, terrified her, but there was something in the protector's voice that made her feel safe, as though everything would be all right as long as it was there. "What do I need to do?" Lena asked, her curiosity burning stronger than her fear. The Midnight Protector turned to face her fully now. "You need not do anything. Your presence here is enough. You are a witness, and your heart is pure. You see what others do not, and it is enough for me to know that you understand." Lena nodded, still trying to process everything she had just learned. The Protector spoke again, its voice almost a whisper. "Now, go home. This is not a world for children to enter unprepared. You will be safe, but remember, if the darkness calls, I will be here. I will always be here." Chapter 3. The Dream World's Edge. Lena returned to her home that night, but sleep did not come easily. Her mind was filled with the images of the cloaked figure and the words it had spoken. The Midnight Protector. What was it guarding against? What could possibly be lurking in the darkness that required such a vigilant guardian? For several nights, Lena struggled to shake the thoughts that haunted her, but then, one night, something changed. She woke suddenly, the room bathed in the soft light of the full moon. There was a sensation in the air, something electric, something she couldn't quite place. The whisper of the wind was gone, replaced by a stillness that seemed wrong. She climbed out of bed and moved toward the window, and there, standing at the edge of the forest, was the protector once again, but this time, something was different. The figure was no longer cloaked in shadow. It stood tall and illuminated by the pale moonlight, its face now visible, and what Lena saw made her gasp in wonder and fear. The protector was not human at all. Its eyes glowed like stars, a deep blue light that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the universe. Its features were strange, otherworldly, a face that seemed to be both young and ancient, with eyes that held the weight of countless centuries. Its form shimmered, as though it was made from the very fabric of the night sky itself. Lena's heart raced, but she felt no fear, only awe. The protector raised a hand toward her window, and Lena could hear its voice, soft but clear in the stillness of the night. "Tonight, child, you will see the world I protect." Lena nodded, feeling as if she had no choice but to follow. She opened the window and stepped out into the cool night air. The protector waited, its presence commanding, yet comforting. Without a word, the figure led her back toward the edge of the forest. This time, there was no hesitation, no fear in Lena's heart. She had come to trust the Midnight Protector. Together, they entered the forest, and as they did, the world around them began to shift. The trees seemed to part, revealing a hidden path that led deep into the heart of the woods. The air grew colder, but Lena was not afraid. For she knew, in that moment, that the Midnight Protector was more than a guardian. It was the shield between light and dark, the protector of dreams, and the keeper of balance, and she was about to learn what lay at the heart of that balance. Chapter 4: The Dream World's Edge. Lena followed the Midnight Protector through the dense forest, the air thick with the scent of pine and moss. The forest, which once seemed so familiar to her, now felt different, alive with a quiet, unseen energy. As they walked deeper into the shadows, Lena noticed the trees seemed to lean in closer, their branches almost whispering above her head. The figure beside her moved with a purposeful grace, its glowing eyes casting a soft, ethereal light. Despite the sense of magic in the air, there was no fear within her. Instead, there was a deep sense of peace, a feeling that she was meant to be here, at this very moment, witnessing something she had only ever heard about in stories. They came to a clearing in the forest, a vast space where the trees opened up to reveal a shimmering pool of water. The water, though still, seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, its surface reflecting not only the moon above, but also a sky filled with stars that sparkled brighter than Lena had ever seen. "This is the dream well," the protector's voice echoed softly in the night air. "It is the portal between the waking world and the world of dreams. Here, the lines between the two worlds blur, and dreams take shape." Lena stepped closer to the water, captivated by its beauty. As her gaze fell upon the surface, she saw ripples begin to form, swirling in delicate patterns. The stars reflected in the water seemed to dance with the movement of the ripples, casting light in all directions. "Do dreams come from here?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The protector nodded. "Yes, the dream well is where all dreams are born. Every thought, every hope, and every fear that enters your mind at night comes from this place. It is where the worlds of the sleeping and the waking meet." Lena's mind raced with the possibilities. The dream well was the source of all dreams, everything she had ever imagined, from the softest of dreams to the wildest adventures, had been born from this mystical pool. But there was something else here, something dark that she couldn't quite grasp. "The darkness, does it come from here too?" Lena asked, her voice filled with a hint of trepidation. The protector's face darkened, and for a moment, the warm glow around it flickered. Yes, not all dreams are kind. Some are born from fear, from shadows that lurk in the hearts of those who sleep. They wander the dream world, seeking to slip into the waking world and turn hope into despair. Lena shivered at the thought of such creatures, nightmares made flesh. She had heard of them in stories, of dark spirits that haunted the dreams of children and twisted their thoughts. The protector had just confirmed their existence, and the weight of it pressed heavily on her heart. But, the protector continued, its voice calm once more, there are those who guard against them, guardians like myself, who ensure that the balance is maintained, that the darkness does not overwhelm the light. We keep watch over the dream well, ensuring that the nightmares remain in the shadows. Lena looked at the shimmering surface of the dream well once more, the idea of nightmares lurking beneath its calm exterior unsettling her. But there was comfort, too, in knowing that the Midnight Protector was there to protect the balance, her protector. Chapter 5. The Nightmare's Reach. As the night deepened, the protector led Lena through the forest once more, though this time the atmosphere felt heavier, as though the very air had thickened. The trees, once friendly and inviting, now seemed to loom above them, their branches casting long, twisted shadows on the ground. The silence was unsettling, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl. Lena felt her heart race as they ventured farther from the village. She wasn't sure what she expected to find, but she knew one thing for sure. The deeper they went into the forest, the more she could sense a growing presence, something dark that lay just beyond the edges of her vision. The protector turned toward her, as though sensing her unease. We are entering the dream shadow, it explained. TC Sveda Nightmarestuel. It is a place between the waking world and the dream world, a realm where shadows and fear gather. Lena felt a chill run down her spine as she looked around. The shadows in the forest seemed to shift and move, as though they had a life of their own. The trees grew taller, their trunks twisted and gnarled. It was a place out of a nightmare itself. Are we safe here? Lena asked, her voice trembling slightly. As long as I am with you, you are safe, the protector reassured her. But you must understand, Lena, the balance is delicate. Even now, the darkness grows stronger. Nightmares stir and slip through the cracks, seeking to cross over into the waking world. Lena glanced at the protector, who stood tall and unwavering, its eyes glowing even brighter in the growing shadows. What can we do to stop them? She asked, her curiosity and fear mixing together. The protector's voice softened. You must learn to face your own darkness, Lena. It is the only way to truly protect both the dream world and the waking world. We cannot defeat the shadows by running from them. You must face them with courage, understanding, and light. Lena looked into the protector's eyes, the stars within them burning with ancient wisdom. She didn't fully understand what the protector meant, but she felt the truth in its words. There was something about the nightmares, something deeply personal that tied her own fears to the darkness she could feel creeping through the dream shadow. Chapter 6. Into the Heart of Darkness. The journey through the dream shadow became more unsettling with each step they took. The shadows around Lena grew longer and more distorted, and the air grew colder with each passing moment. The trees seemed to close in, their branches twisting into grotesque shapes, their roots curling beneath the earth like serpents. Lena could feel the presence of something unseen, something lurking just beyond the shadows. Her instincts screamed for her to turn back, but the protector led her forward, its eyes never leaving the path ahead. Suddenly, the protector stopped and raised a hand. Lena froze beside it, her heart pounding. In the distance, she saw flickers of light, strange, unsettling lights that floated just above the ground, shifting in and out of sight. It was as though the very air was alive with movement. Nightmares, the protector said quietly. They take many forms. Some are merely whispers in the dark. Others are twisted creatures born of fear. But none of them are invincible. They are sustained by the fear of those who dream, and their strength grows with the night. Lena watched in awe as the lights flickered and then grew larger, taking on shapes that seemed vaguely human. Figures with no faces, their forms shifting like smoke. They were the embodiment of fear itself, shadows given life, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. The protector stepped forward, its form glowing brighter, and the shadows seemed to recoil at its presence. Lena, too, felt the weight of fear lift slightly. There was power in the protector's light, and for the first time, she understood that the darkness was not something to be feared, but something that could be overcome. You see, Lena, the protector said, the nightmares can only grow if you allow them to take root in your mind. They are not invincible, but the longer you allow them to grow, the stronger they become. The key is to confront them, to face them with the light of your courage. Lena nodded, her resolve strengthening. She could feel the pull of the darkness, but she also felt the growing light inside her. She knew that the protector would not let her fall, and she would not let the nightmares take control. Together, they moved forward, ready to face whatever shadows the dream shadow held. The night was far from over, and Lena's journey into the heart of darkness had only just begun. Chapter 7: Confronting the Shadows. The air in the dream shadow had grown heavy, thick with the weight of unspoken fears and the whispers of creatures lurking just beyond the edge of sight. Lena could feel the presence of the nightmares around them, their shapes now more distinct, flickering in and out of existence. They were like shadows from forgotten memories, twisted into horrific forms, their eyes glowing with malice. The Midnight Protector stood tall beside her, its glowing form the only source of light in this realm of darkness. Despite the overwhelming sense of dread that clung to the air, Lena felt an unexpected sense of calm. The Protector had told her that fear only had power if you allowed it to, and tonight, she would not let fear control her. Stay close, the Protector whispered, its voice firm but reassuring. The nightmares will try to manipulate your mind. They will show you things you fear most, things you wish to forget, but you must not let them distract you. They can only harm you if you let them. Lena nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She had faced nightmares before, terrifying dreams that left her sweating and fearful upon waking. But this was different. The nightmares were real, tangible, and they seemed to know her deepest fears. The first of the nightmare shapes drifted closer, a shadowy figure with a face twisted in anguish. Its eyes glowed a fierce red, burning with an emotion Lena could not name. It moved with unnatural grace, its body shifting in and out of the shadows like smoke. You cannot hide from me, Lena, the figure hissed, its voice a blend of whispers and growls. I am the fear you've never faced, the darkness inside your heart. I am what you have locked away and refused to confront. Lena's breath caught in her throat as the nightmare's words echoed in her mind. Was it true? Was this nightmare a reflection of something deep within her, something she had never wanted to face? The Protector stepped forward, blocking the path between Lena and the nightmare. This is a lie, it said, its voice unwavering. Do not listen to it. You are stronger than your fears. Remember what I have taught you. The shadowy figure recoiled, its form flickering as if unsure whether to advance. But then it twisted into a new shape, a terrifying creature with long, clawed hands and a gaping mouth that dripped with shadowy tendrils. Its laughter was the sound of breaking glass, sharp and cruel. "You cannot win," the creature sneered. "All your courage, all your light, it won't be enough. We are the darkness that you fear." The protector stood firm, its light intensifying, casting long rays into the abyss of the dream shadow. "You are nothing but a fragment of fear," the protector said, "and fragments can be shattered." The creature shrieked, its form warping and distorting as the protector's light grew brighter. It lashed out with its claws, but the protector moved with a speed and grace that Lena had not seen before, striking at the creature with light so powerful that it scorched the air. Lena watched in awe as the creature writhed and disappeared, consumed by the light. The moment it vanished, the oppressive darkness around them seemed to lift, just a little. The air no longer felt as heavy, and for the briefest moment, Lena could see the stars above her, sparkling faintly through the trees. "That was one," the protector said quietly, "but there are many more. Nightmares never leave willingly. They will fight with everything they have to stay in your mind." Lena nodded, understanding. She had faced her first fear, but it wasn't over yet. The dream shadow was filled with countless horrors, all born from the darkest parts of the mind. She could feel them watching, waiting for her to falter. Suddenly, another shape appeared in front of them, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to pulse and shift with an unnatural rhythm. This time, there was no form, no figure, only a void, a black hole of despair. The air around it grew colder, and Lena felt an overwhelming sense of hopelessness wash over her. She stumbled backward, her vision blurring. The nightmare was inside her mind now, feeding on her doubts, her insecurities. It whispered to her, its voice like 1,000 voices combined, each one familiar, each one a reminder of her deepest fears. "You are not worthy," the voice said. "You are weak. You are afraid. You cannot protect anyone, not even yourself." Lena's knees buckled, and she felt the ground beneath her shift, as though the earth was pulling her into the abyss. But then she heard the protector's voice, firm and steady. "Remember what you have learned," the protector said. "Fear cannot control you unless you let it. You are stronger than it. You have always been stronger." Lena closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. The words of the protector rang true within her, and she felt something shift inside her. She had faced the darkness once before and emerged stronger. She could do it again. The air around her seemed to vibrate with energy as Lena reached within herself and found a flicker of light, small but growing. She let it grow, nurturing it with every ounce of courage she had, until it expanded outward, filling the space around her. The void recoiled, its form shrinking away from the light. It howled in frustration, but Lena pressed forward, her light now shining like a beacon in the darkness. She could feel the nightmare beginning to lose its grip on her mind, the shadows dissipating in the wake of her growing strength. With a final, triumphant surge, Lena thrust the light forward. The void cracked and shattered, splintering into 1,000 tiny pieces that scattered into the air like stardust. The dream shadows shifted again, the air lighter and clearer. The oppressive weight that had been hanging over them was gone, replaced by a sense of calm. "You did it," the protector said, its voice filled with pride. "You faced your darkness and banished it." Lena stood there, panting, her heart still racing, but with a deep sense of accomplishment. She had not only faced her fears, but had learned how to overcome them. The nightmares no longer seemed so terrifying now that she understood their true nature. They were born from fear, but fear could be conquered. "We are ready now," the protector said, its voice steady. "There is more to do, but you have taken the first step, and with each step, you will grow stronger." Lena nodded, her resolve solidifying. The journey ahead would not be easy, but she was no longer the frightened girl who had stepped into the dream shadow. She was becoming something more, a protector, just like the Midnight Protector. Together, they would defend the dream world from the darkness that sought to destroy it. And Lena knew, deep within her heart, that no matter what came next, she would face it with the light of her courage, and nothing, no nightmare, could ever take that away.